The night is quiet in the valley. A pale moon hangs above the hills of Judah, its silver light resting gently on stones and shrubs scattered across the land. The world feels suspended, as if the earth itself is holding its breath. You can hear the faint rattle of armor, the low muttering of soldiers huddled together, waiting for morning. They lie restless, wrapped in cloaks, their shields propped beside them like silent guardians. The air smells of dust and smoke, the remains of small campfires burning low. Red embers glow in the darkness, scattered across the camp like fallen stars. Occasionally, one pops, sending a tiny spark upward before vanishing into the night. Somewhere in the distance, a ram's horn calls out, long and low, before fading back into silence. The sound seems to travel over the hills and vanish into the valley below. You find yourself standing among the tents of the Israelite army. Men whisper in nervous tones. Their king, Saul, is here, tall, broad-shouldered, a warrior once filled with confidence. But tonight he sits apart, restless, a dark figure in the moonlight. His hands fold and unfold over the hilt of his spear, as though even he feels the weight of the challenge that awaits them with the dawn. Across the valley, the enemy waits. The Philistine camp glows with torchlight, flames flickering like restless eyes in the darkness. Shadows move between the fires, soldiers laughing too loudly, voices carried across the valley by the wind. They do not sound afraid, and in the heart of their camp, one man towers above them all. His name is spoken only in whispers among the Israelites, Goliath of Gath, a giant whose armor gleams like bronze fire under the sun. A warrior who steps forward each morning, his voice booming across the valley like thunder. Send me a man to fight. The challenge has gone unanswered for 40 days. Each morning, the same roar. Each morning, silence in response. The army of Israel trembles, caught between pride and fear. But tonight, as the stars wheel slowly overhead and the campfires fade to embers, something begins to stir. Far off in the hills, a shepherd boy walks the winding paths toward the valley. His staff rests in his hand. At his side, a sling hangs from his belt. His name is David. Tomorrow, when the sun rises, the boy will step forward to face the giant, and the valley of Elah will remember. The first rays of dawn slip quietly over the ridge, painting the sky with pale streaks of rose and gold. The air, cool from the night, carries the faint scent of wild thyme and dry earth. In the valley below, shadows begin to stretch and lift as the light slowly touches the ground. This is the valley of Elah, wide and fertile, lined with sloping hills and scattered oaks. In spring, it is a place of green fields, a resting ground for shepherds and their flocks. But now, the valley has become a battlefield. The soil is trampled, scarred by the passage of thousands of feet, and the calm beauty of the land is strained by the weight of fear and pride. On one ridge to the north, the Israelites stand. Their tents are clustered like small white shells against the hillside, their banners fluttering weakly in the morning breeze. The sound of metal drifts through the air, swords being sharpened, spears tested for cracks, shields tightened against leather straps. These men are weary. For 40 days, they have risen at dawn to the same challenge, the same ritual of dread. Across the valley, to the south, the Philistines wait. Their camp is louder, rougher, filled with harsh voices and laughter. Smoke curls upward from their fires, the scent of roasted meat carried on the air. They are confident, too confident, for they have with them a champion unlike any man Israel has ever seen. And soon he will step forward again. You can almost feel the soldiers' tension around you, as though the very air is heavy with it. Their eyes are drawn constantly to the valley floor, waiting for the inevitable. Some pace restlessly, muttering prayers under their breath. Others sit silently, heads bowed, hands clutching the edges of their shields. The challenge has gone unanswered for so long that doubt seeps into every corner of the camp. Can anyone face this giant? Will anyone ever step forward? Even Saul, the king himself, once the tallest and strongest among them, has remained in the shadows of his own fear. A trumpet blast echoes across the valley. It is time. The murmur of voices dies, leaving only the sound of the wind sweeping through the grass. From the Philistine side, movement stirs. A figure steps out from their lines, towering above the men around him, Goliath. His armor catches the morning light like polished bronze. A helmet gleams upon his head. A heavy coat of scale armor hangs from his shoulders to his knees, each plate overlapping like the scales of some vast beast. Across his back, a spear rests, the shaft thick as a weaver's beam, the iron tip gleaming sharp and deadly. A shield-bearer walks before him, straining under the weight of the great shield that guards the giant's frame. And then his voice rises. It is a voice made for the battlefield, deep, commanding, mocking. It rolls across the valley, echoing off the stone slopes, carrying every word to the farthest tent in the Israelite camp. "Why do you come out and line up for battle?" he calls. "Am I not a Philistine, and are you not the servants of Saul? Choose a man and have him come down to me. If he is able to fight and kill me, we will become your subjects. But if I overcome him and kill him, you will become ours." The words are the same as yesterday, the same as the day before, the same as every day for 40 mornings, but still they chill the blood. Still they cut deep into the hearts of the men who hear them. You feel the silence in the Israelite ranks. No one moves, no one answers. The weight of shame presses heavily on them all. Goliath laughs, a sound that seems to shake the very ground. He paces slowly across the valley floor, daring, taunting, waiting. His confidence is absolute. When he turns and strides back to his camp, the challenge hangs in the air like a storm that refuses to break. The Israelites breathe again, but the taste of fear lingers. As the day unfolds, the tension remains. Soldiers go about their tasks, repairing tents, tending to weapons, watching the enemy across the valley, but the shadow of Goliath's voice follows them everywhere. Conversations fall into whispers. Glances drift constantly to the southern ridge. Even laughter sounds hollow, quickly fading into silence. That night, the ritual repeats. The fires burn low, men huddle together, and the valley lies in uneasy quiet. And again, the whisper spreads. Who will fight him? Who can? For 40 days, the answer has been no one. But change is near. Out beyond the ridges, beyond the sight of both armies, a boy tends to his father's flock. His hands are rough from the staff, his eyes keen from watching the hills for predators. He carries no sword, no shield, no armor. Yet soon his path will lead him here, to this valley, to this moment, to the challenge no man has yet dared to accept. The valley of Elah waits, and history waits with it. Far from the valley, in the hills of Bethlehem, the morning begins quietly. The sun rises over rolling fields, turning the grass to gold and setting long shadows across the land. Here, the world feels different. There are no trumpet calls, no clashing of armor, no giants to taunt the air. Only the sound of sheep stirring, bleating softly as they begin to graze. Among them walks a boy, his staff in hand. His tunic is plain, his sandals dusted from the earth, his hair touched by the wind. He is not tall or broad like the men of war, but his steps are sure, his eyes alive with a quiet confidence. This is David, the youngest son of Jesse, a shepherd, a singer of songs, and a boy whose heart carries a strength no weapon can forge. Life as a shepherd is lonely. The fields stretch wide, the nights are long, and dangers often come without warning. David has faced them all. wolves that slink from the shadows, lions that prowl the edges of the hills, bears that rise from the thickets. Each one has tested him, and though his only weapons were a staff and a sling, he has stood his ground. He has learned courage not from the shouts of armies, but from the silence of the hills. When the sheep rest, he plays his harp. His fingers glide across the strings, filling the air with melodies that soothe the flock and echo softly into the valleys. Songs of praise, songs of longing, songs of hope. It is here, in these fields, that David's spirit is formed, steady, faithful, unafraid. But on this day, his task is different. His father, Jesse, has called him from the hills. 3 of David's older brothers have followed Saul into battle, and Jesse is anxious for news. He places bread, roasted grain, and cheese into a sack and hands it to David. "Take these to your brothers," he says, "and bring back word of how they fare." The journey is not long, but as David walks the winding paths, he feels the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. He is not a soldier. He carries no sword or shield. He is only a messenger, a boy among men. Yet something stirs within him, a sense that this errand is more than it appears. By the time David reaches the valley, the sun is high. The sound of voices rises before he even sees the camps. Thousands of men speaking, shouting, murmuring in anxious tones. The Israelite banners ripple in the wind above the hillside. Dust swirls as soldiers move about, tightening straps of armor, adjusting their weapons, glancing toward the valley floor where the challenge of the Philistine giant is expected once more. David steps carefully among them, the sack slung over his shoulder. The men glance at him with little notice. Just another youth, out of place among warriors. But as he passes, he hears their words: fear, doubt. The same name repeated again and again, Goliath. At last he finds his brothers. Eliab, the eldest, tall and stern, sees him first. His brow furrows as David approaches. "Why have you come?" he asks sharply. "And with whom have you left those few sheep in the wilderness?" "You are proud, David. You only came down to watch the battle," but David shakes his head. "I have brought food from our father, and I have come to bring back word for him." His voice is calm, but inside, his heart stirs. For even as his brother speaks, a trumpet sounds across the valley. The moment has come again. The Israelite soldiers stiffen, their eyes fixed on the far ridge. Movement stirs among the Philistines, and then the giant appears. David turns to see him for the first time. Goliath strides onto the valley floor, his armor blazing in the sunlight, his shadow stretching long across the earth. His helmet gleams, his spear gleams. Every movement of his vast frame radiates power. The ground itself seems to bend beneath his weight. And then his voice rises. It is louder than David imagined, a roar that shakes the air, that carries mockery and defiance across the valley. The same words as before, but to David they feel like thunder. "Send me a man, let him fight me." Around him, the men of Israel shrink back. Some step away, eyes lowered, hearts trembling. Even the strongest among them seem small and uncertain. But David does not shrink. He watches, his eyes fixed on the giant, his heart steady. He feels the fear in the air, the silence of his people, and something within him hardens, not with pride, but with conviction. He turns to the soldiers beside him. "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine," he asks quietly, "that he should defy the armies of the living God?" The men look at him in surprise. Some laugh, dismissing his words as childish boldness. But others shake their heads, whispering of the reward Saul has promised: riches, freedom from taxes, even his daughter in marriage, to the man who will face the giant. Still, no one steps forward. David's words reach more ears, spreading quickly. Whispers ripple through the camp. The shepherd boy speaks. He is unafraid. Soon, the rumor reaches Saul himself. The king, wearied by fear, sends for the boy. David is brought before him. Saul studies him, this youth with clear eyes and calloused hands, this boy who does not tremble. "You are not able to go out against this Philistine," Saul says, shaking his head. "You are only a boy, and he has been a warrior from his youth." But David stands firm. "I have been a shepherd," he replies. "When a lion or a bear came and carried off a sheep, I went after it. I struck it and rescued the sheep from its mouth. When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair and struck it down. The Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and the bear will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine." The words are spoken calmly, without arrogance, as though they are simple truth. Saul studies him again, searching for weakness, but finds only certainty. At last he nods. "Go," he says quietly, "and the Lord be with you." And so the shepherd boy, carrying nothing but faith and memory of the hills, prepares to walk into the valley of fear. The day has changed. The whispers have changed. A boy has arrived, and history itself is bending toward him. The valley is still, but not silent. Thousands of men hold their breath at once, their eyes fixed on the two figures preparing to face one another. The giant, armored in bronze and strength, waits with mocking patience. The boy, light of frame and dressed in nothing more than a shepherd's garb, steps forward without hesitation. Word spreads quickly through the Israelite camp. David is going. Soldiers lean out from their lines, craning to see him. Some murmur encouragement, though their voices carry more disbelief than hope. Others shake their heads, muttering that the boy has lost his senses. Even among his own brothers, there is only anger and embarrassment. But David walks with calm steps, as if each one is guided by something greater than himself. The valley floor crunches softly beneath his sandals, the dust rising around him in tiny clouds. He does not wear Saul's armor. He has refused it, saying simply, "I cannot go in these, because I am not used to them." Instead, he carries only his staff, a sling coiled in his hand, and 5 smooth stones, taken from the brook that cuts through the valley. They sit cool and heavy in the leather pouch at his side. Across the valley, the Philistines laugh. Their laughter is harsh, sharp, cruel. What kind of mockery is this? They see only a boy approaching, and in their scorn they cheer for the giant who stands waiting. Goliath steps forward to meet him. The ground shakes beneath each stride of the giant's feet. His shadow stretches long as the sun climbs higher, his bronze armor blazing like fire. His shield-bearer hurries before him, struggling to keep pace, the massive shield lifted high. When Goliath is close enough to see the boy clearly, his laughter breaks into a roar. He stops in his tracks, astonished, insulted. His voice bellows across the valley, "Am I a dog, that you come at me with sticks?" The words echo against the ridges, a cruel mockery flung toward the boy. Goliath raises his spear, its iron tip glinting in the light. His voice grows darker, heavier. "Come here," he growls, "and I will give your flesh to the birds and the wild animals." The Philistines roar their approval. The Israelites fall into a deeper silence. The two armies, facing one another across the valley, feel the moment pressing down upon them. But David does not falter. He raises his voice, clear and steady, carrying across the valley just as Goliath's words had moments before. "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin," he calls, his young voice ringing out with confidence. "But I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I will strike you down and cut off your head. All those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves. For the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into our hands." The words settle over the valley like thunder. The Israelites murmur, startled, stirred by his courage. The Philistines jeer, unwilling to believe what they hear. But Goliath sneers and lowers his massive frame, preparing to strike. The valley holds its breath. Every man on both ridges leans forward, eyes straining to catch the moment. For 40 days, the giant's challenge has thundered across these hills, unanswered. But now, a boy, unarmored, unafraid, runs to meet him. The dust rises beneath David's feet as he moves, faster than anyone expected, each stride light and unburdened. He runs not as a soldier, but as one accustomed to hillsides and open fields, to chasing wolves in the night and guarding sheep by day. His steps are sure, steady, swift. In the pouch at his side, the smooth stones shift with the rhythm of his movement. His fingers reach in, knowing by touch alone the one he will use. He feels its weight, rounded by the waters of the brook, cool against his skin. Ahead, Goliath lowers himself into a stance, enormous, terrible. His armor glitters in the light, a wall of bronze. His spear gleams, its iron head catching the sun. The shield-bearer scrambles before him, the massive shield lifted high, though even it cannot hide the size of the man behind it. Goliath's laughter bellows again, rolling across the valley like thunder. But there is a flicker of disbelief in it now, a note of anger that this child dares to run toward him instead of shrinking back. His words rumble deep, though few hear them clearly over the sound of David's rushing steps. David does not answer with words. His reply is already forming in the arc of his arm. The sling is in his hand now, the stone pressed deep into its leather cradle. He swings it once, twice. The air begins to hum with the growing rhythm. The cords tighten, the circle widens, faster and faster, until the sling becomes almost invisible, a blur against the morning light. The armies fall into silence. The only sound is the whistle of air around the sling as it whirls. Each rotation is measured, practiced. The movement of countless hours alone in the hills, guarding sheep, testing his aim against distant rocks, striking targets hidden in thickets. Every motion is instinct, muscle, memory, guided by confidence deeper than thought. Goliath takes another step, closing the distance. His armor creaks, heavy. His shadow stretches long across the ground. His eyes lock onto the boy, his mouth curling into a sneer. And then, the release. The leather straps slip from David's fingers. The sling snaps forward with sudden speed, sending the stone into flight. For a moment, time seems to slow. The stone spins through the air, silent, unseen by most eyes, moving faster than thought. It cuts the wind with perfect aim, guided not by chance, but by countless hidden hours of practice, by faith, by courage. Then, the sound. A sharp crack echoes across the valley as stone meets flesh and bone. The impact is final, unshakable. The giant's laughter ceases in an instant. His eyes widen, stunned. His massive frame falters. For a heartbeat, he sways, as though the earth itself is uncertain whether he will stand or fall. The spear slips slightly in his grasp. His knees bend. His weight shifts forward. And then, like a great tree struck at its base, Goliath falls. The crash is like thunder rolling across the valley floor. Dust erupts, rising into the air, carrying with it the disbelief of thousands. The giant's body lies motionless, face down in the dirt, his armor gleaming no more. The silence that follows is vast, heavy. It rolls over both armies like a wave. For the first time in 40 days, Goliath's voice does not rise. His shadow no longer stretches across the ground. David does not hesitate. His breathing steady, his steps unbroken, he rushes forward. The boy who carried only a sling now stands over the body of the giant. His hand finds the hilt of Goliath's sword. Enormous, almost too heavy for him to lift. But with a steady pull he draws it free. The blade gleams, catching the sunlight. And in one final motion, David strikes. The boy ends the battle with the very weapon of the enemy, lifting it high as the valley erupts into cries. The Israelites roar, their fear vanishing like mist in the morning sun. Their voices roll across the hills, a sound of victory, of awe, of disbelief turned into joy. The Philistines stumble backward, their laughter silenced, their confidence shattered. Men who once trembled now surge forward, shouting, cheering, their courage reborn in a single moment. What none dared to do, the boy has done. But David stands quietly amid the noise. His chest rises with steady breath, his eyes fixed not on the fallen giant, not even on the fleeing enemy, but on the God he had trusted. For David knows the battle was never his alone, and so the valley, once filled with fear, now carries the sound of triumph. The day that began with dread has ended with victory. The boy has become the warrior. The shepherd has become the champion. The name of David will be remembered, not only in this valley, but across all of Israel, and for generations to come. The dust of the valley still lingers in the air. The echoes of the giant's fall drift slowly into silence, carried away by the wind. For a long moment, it feels as if time itself has paused, as if the earth must catch its breath after witnessing what no one thought possible. Then, like a tide breaking loose, sound floods the valley. The Israelites erupt in shouts of triumph. Their voices ring out, filling the hills, echoing back in waves. Men who only moments before cowered in fear now surge with energy, their faces alight with wonder. They shout David's name, though some can scarcely believe their own voices. A boy, a shepherd, has brought down the terror of nations. Across the valley, the Philistines scatter. Their cries of disbelief turn to panic as they see their champion lying motionless on the ground. Confidence shatters into chaos. Shields are dropped, weapons abandoned. The proud lines dissolve into a fleeing mass of men rushing back toward their cities. The Israelites chase after them, their courage reborn. Armor clatters, swords are lifted, feet pound the ground as the army that once trembled now surges forward like a river breaking through its banks. The Philistines are driven back, pursued along the road, their retreat a stark contrast to the bold defiance they once carried into the valley. But David does not join the chase. He stands quietly where the giant fell, his hand still resting on the hilt of Goliath's sword. The battle around him shifts and swirls, but he remains centered, calm, as though the noise has dimmed in his ears. His gaze is steady, lifted beyond the battlefield, for David knows this victory is not his own alone. When the shouting subsides and the dust begins to settle, the boy is brought before Saul, the king who had watched from the safety of his camp. The great sword of Goliath rests in David's hand, its weight almost too much for him, but his steps are sure. The king looks at him with awe, searching for words. "Whose son are you, young man?" Saul asks. And David answers simply, "I am the son of your servant Jesse of Bethlehem." No boasting, no pride, just truth. Yet the truth carries a weight the king cannot ignore. This boy, son of a shepherd, has done what all of Israel's warriors could not. From that day forward, David's life will change. He will no longer be only the keeper of sheep, the singer of songs beneath the stars. His name will be carried in the mouths of the people, his story told again and again. Some will speak of his courage, others of his faith, but all will remember the day he faced the giant. And yet, as the valley grows quiet again, you can almost imagine David returning in spirit to the hills of his youth, to the green fields where sheep graze, to the gentle strum of his harp, to the songs that rise softly into the evening air. For though he is now a warrior, he remains a shepherd at heart, one who trusts not in sword or spear, but in the one who delivered him. The valley of Elah lies peaceful once more. The trampled earth will heal, grass will grow again, and the brook will keep flowing as it always has, carrying stones smooth and silent through its waters. Travelers may pass through in the years to come, never knowing the ground on which they walk was once the stage of giants and boys, of fear and faith, of despair turned to triumph. And perhaps that is the lesson the valley itself whispers, that battles are not always won by the strongest arm or the heaviest blade. Sometimes they are won by courage that refuses to yield, by faith that stands firm when all others falter, by hearts that trust in something greater than fear. As night falls once again, the stars return to the sky, steady and countless above the land. The same stars that watched the shepherd boy tend his flocks now shine upon the valley where he became a champion. Their light is gentle, calm, eternal, a reminder that though giants rise and fall, though armies gather and scatter, the hand of God guides the humble, lifts the faithful, and brings peace to those who trust. And so, the story of David and Goliath comes to rest. The valley grows quiet. The wind drifts softly through the grass. The embers of campfires glow faintly in the distance. All is still. You can close your eyes now, hearing the echo of the brook, the whisper of the fields, the quiet strum of a shepherd's harp carried on the evening air. Rest as the valley rests, for the battle has been fought, the victory has been won, and peace settles over the land once more.